In the early 2010s, the United States began construction on the Ford-class supercarrier, setting the tone not only for technological prowess, but also for a new strategic vision of naval supremacy. The construction of the United States ship Gerald R. Ford and later the United States ship John F. Kennedy symbolized more than power projection, it was a statement about America's maritime future. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, a rising power had begun to awaken to the significance of aircraft carriers, long considered the crown jewels of blue water navies. China's late entry into carrier warfare and the vision of Liu watching. For decades, China's aircraft carrier ambitions remained dormant, suppressed by the lack of a strategic imperative. However, there was one man who never gave up on the dream, Admiral Liu Watching, often regarded as the father of China's aircraft carrier program. After being appointed commander of the People's Liberation Army Navy in 1982, Liu initiated serious carrier research through a Shanghai-based naval institute. That move laid the foundation for what would become a monumental transformation in China's naval doctrine. From scrap to strategy, Beijing's interest in aircraft carriers was quietly confirmed in 1985 when China purchased the decommissioned Australian carrier HMAS Melbourne, allegedly for scrap. Yet instead of dismantling the entire vessel, Chinese engineers meticulously studied its structure, retaining its flight deck while scrapping the rest. In the same year, the Gonghai Naval Academy began a training program for future carrier commanders, further proof that China's ambitions were more than symbolic. The collapse of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and China's naval pivot. The 1990s brought significant changes. With the fall of the Soviet Union, China gained 3 new Central Asian neighbors and moved quickly to normalize diplomatic and territorial matters with them. As China's economy opened to the world, maritime trade became essential, particularly through the South China Sea and beyond the so-called First Island chain. Growing dependence on seaborne oil imports from the Middle East and Africa, coupled with regional tensions like the Taiwan Strait crisis of 1995-96, forced maritime security to the forefront of China's national defense strategy. The Soviet carrier acquisitions and the curious case of Variag. In 1998, China made headlines by purchasing 3 former Soviet aircraft carriers, including the Variag. The sale was cloaked in mystery when a tourism company named Chonglot, headed by former plan officials, bought the Variag claiming it would be turned into a floating casino. That story quickly unraveled. The vessel never received a gambling license and was instead towed thousands of miles to Dalian in northern China, a location far removed from any entertainment hub. It became evident that Beijing was deeply engaged in evaluating whether to build or acquire carriers. The Liaoning and Shandong take shape. China's first carrier, renamed the Liaoning, was refurbished from the Soviet-era Variag. It began sea trials in 2011 and officially entered service in 2012, though it was not declared fully operational until 2016. In a clear sign of growing confidence, China announced a second carrier in the same year. Named the Shandong, this vessel marked a historic moment. It was the country's first domestically designed and built aircraft carrier. Though based on the Liaoning's design, the Shandong incorporated improvements such as a smaller island structure and an expanded flight deck, capable of accommodating additional aircraft. It still relied on a ski-jump launch system and conventional propulsion, but its construction, begun in 2013 and launched in 2017, showcased the plan's evolving capabilities. China's bold leap with Type 003. By far the most significant advancement in China's carrier program has been the Fujian, designated as Type 003. Launched in June 2022 after beginning construction in 2016, this carrier is unlike any before it in the Chinese fleet. Larger and more sophisticated, it is the first Chinese carrier equipped with catapult-assisted takeoff and arrested recovery systems, similar to those used by U.S. Navy supercarriers. Measuring around 1,037 feet in length and displacing up to 85,000 tons, the Fujian rivals its American counterparts in sheer size. Although still short of the United States ship Ford's 100,000-ton displacement and nuclear propulsion, the Fujian is a true milestone in Chinese naval engineering. Electromagnetic catapults. What truly elevates the Fujian to global significance is its use of electromagnetic catapults. Originally thought to be a feature reserved for American vessels, China began testing its version of this launch technology as early as 2012. Rear Admiral Yin Cho confirmed in 2013 that China's next-generation carriers would abandon steam catapults in favor of the more advanced electromagnetic system. This system, now installed on the Fujian, allows for faster, more energy-efficient aircraft launches, even for heavier aircraft. The decision to adopt this technology required expanding the vessel's size, but it also catapulted China into a new tier of naval capability. Aircraft and firepower. No matter how advanced a carrier may be, its true worth lies in the number of aircraft sorties it can support. Surprisingly, even the older Liaoning can conduct around 50 sorties a day for over a week, according to Japan's Ministry of Defense. The Fujian, being far more advanced, is expected to potentially double this number. However, the Ford-class carriers set the gold standard. Older Nimitz-class carriers can manage up to 120 sorties a day under normal operations, with surges reaching 240 per day. The Ford class improves on this, routinely capable of launching 160 sorties daily and up to 300 in emergency conditions. In contrast, even if all three Chinese carriers were deployed together, their combined strike capability would be outpaced by a single U.S. carrier group. A critical limitation. One underappreciated aspect of naval aviation is the weight at which aircraft can be launched. U.S. carriers can launch fully loaded strike fighters such as the F/A-18E/F Super Hornet with maximum payloads exceeding 17 tons. In contrast, China's Liaoning and Shandong, which still use ski-jump launch systems, are restricted in the weight of the aircraft they can safely deploy. This limitation severely hampers operational range and payload, especially under adverse weather conditions or when headwinds are weak. The Fujian seeks to overcome this by fielding the Shenyang J-35 stealth fighter, the J-15, and the KJ-600 airborne early warning aircraft. There's also speculation that the carrier could support ULEs, potentially providing a qualitative edge in specific mission profiles. Sea trials, carrier groups, and global naval presence. Following successful sea trials in May 2024, the Fujian entered a new operational phase. Just months later, all three of China's carriers Liaoning, Shandong, and Fujian sailed together for the first time, signaling the formation of a fully fledged carrier strike group. This unprecedented display of maritime strength underscored China's intentions to become a true blue water navy. In the past few years, the plan has increasingly deployed vessels beyond regional waters, enhancing its global footprint. Support vessels and logistics ships have also been deployed more frequently, offering China more sustained presence far from its shores. As the Pentagon noted in a 2024 report, the plan is no longer a regional force, but a global naval power in the making. Fleet size versus technological edge. As of 2024, China's Navy boasted over 370 combat vessels, a number projected to rise to 420 by 2025 and 460 by 2030. In sheer numbers, this already surpasses the U.S. Navy, which maintains under 300 ships. However, American vessels are typically larger, more technologically advanced, and supported by decades of operational experience. While China's growing fleet is formidable, the U.S. still benefits from its mature carrier program and global network of bases and allies. Furthermore, issues surrounding the implementation of advanced Ford-class technologies, including electromagnetic catapults and weapons elevators, appear to have been largely resolved, as the United States ship John F. Kennedy nears completion and the next ship, Enterprise, prepares to enter service. The nuclear future of China's Navy. Rumors have persisted that China has already begun work on its first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the Type 004. Reportedly initiated in 2017, this future carrier would match the U.S. in terms of endurance and operational range, removing the need for frequent refueling and enabling more extended deployments. If successful, this will mark China's final step in building a fully competitive supercarrier fleet. Experience versus expansion, the ultimate naval test. In the end, the competition between the United States and China at sea is one of experience versus expansion. America has spent nearly a century refining its carrier doctrine through real-world operations across the globe. China, though expanding at an unprecedented rate, is still learning what it means to operate a true carrier strike group far from home. Which matters more? Raw numbers or accumulated expertise is a question with no easy answer. But what's clear is this: the world is entering a new maritime era, and both nations are preparing for a future in which the oceans are as strategically important as any land battlefield. If you enjoy diving into the future of naval power and learning how China and the US are shaping the seas, don't forget to show your support. Hit that like button to let us know you want more content like this. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update on global defense and military tech.